has Badgers assistant Joe Krabanoff interested to see what he could bring to the table.
He's an exciting player in so many ways with the ball in his hands. He's probably the fastest guy we've had in a long time with the ball, and that's going to be exciting for our fans and to watch. And he'll have the Kohl Center going up and down the court faster than maybe we've ever seen, which is fun. But he's been well schooled, so he understands how to win and what it looks like.
Again, that was Wisconsin assistant Joe Krabanoff.
Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, it's a marquee pitching matchup at American Family Field tonight. It's Jacob Mizrowski's on the mound for the Crew, and the Dodgers are sending Clayton Kershaw. Milwaukee took the series opener last night 9-1, and Packers training camp going to get going 2 weeks from tomorrow up in Green Bay. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
Do you imagine Andrew Vaughn? Because Robert said it in the highlight. He's still basically learning his teammates' names, right? And gets a big hit to help him win a ball game. What do you think of the Brewers' new bats and their postseason aspirations?
He downplayed it, Lauren.
He said he blacked out.
He did. He said change of scenery. He's not totally buying into that. I'll disagree. Come on. You get sent down by the White Sox, a team that's trying to figure out their way, and you were the third overall pick back in the day for this team, and then you get a new lease on life. He hit a grand slam in his first at-bat in AAA when he got traded over to Milwaukee for Aaron Savali, and then for him to have that moment, come on. You're just getting to meet people. Hey, how you doing? You go deep. And you go deep, and Pat Murphy sticks him in the 3 spot in the lineup.
You have a chance to make.
It's some sound from last night. Andrew Vaughn's debut at the Brewers, his debut at bat. Not just his debut game, but his first at bat in the first inning. Ends with what I think a lot of Brewers fans would have liked to see from Rhys Hoskins a long time ago. It's like, there's a timely homer. There's a pitch that was left up and away that was pulled out over the left field fence. There it is. That's what we've been wanting. That's what we've been looking for. So you heard that highlight in the intro, and then a little bit from Mark DeRosa and the MLB Central crew earlier today talking about the Brewers. You'll hear a little bit more sound from that segment, including a plea to Brewers ownership, which I think will be music to a lot of your ears. I don't always love talking about, well, Mark should spend, or Mark, because he's going to do what he's going to do, and no yelling into a microphone is ever going to change that. Now, no amount of yelling into a microphone is really going to change much, ever. I just think there are more interesting things to yell about into a microphone. But Mark DeRosa, a plea to Mark Attanasio on MLB Network earlier today to do something. This team is good, and they fight, and they're likable, and they're hot, and they have the pitching. They just need a little bit more. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Jack Stern will be here as well. First-time guest, his debut. Like Andrew Vaughn, I expect for him in hour number 2, he'll be here at 5:15. To hit whatever the radio equivalent is of a 3-run home run. Jack is excellent, and if you listen to the show with any sort of routine, if you're here regularly at all, you will hear me reference his work a ton because he's always sharing really, really good tidbits and information about, I wouldn't even call it nerdy, because I think there are some people that don't like, all the analytics have taken over baseball. I wouldn't even say that it's analytics. It's numbers behind the things that we're already seeing. He's really good with that. So yesterday we talked about Joey Ortiz being benched and Pat Murphy being mad about it. Well, Jack is then the one to put out a story that says, yep, here is his swing percentage at pitches in the zone. It's not high enough. Here's his swing percentage at pitches outside the zone. It's, way too high, right? Putting the numbers and putting the context to the things that we're already seeing and noticing with our eyes and just giving us a little bit more. And Jack is excellent. So I'm excited to have him. He'll be here in a little bit more than an hour. I'll take your calls as well. 608-321-1670. You know that number. And you can comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as well. I'll get to your segments here and or your calls rather in segment number 2 after our first break. I want to start by talking about Freddy Peralta. Actually, I've talked a lot about Freddy Peralta, really the entire season. 2 months ago, when the team, sunk swamp ass and they weren't any good, and it's like, what is this team even going to be? Right? They hadn't taken shape yet. Well, Freddy Peralta seemed like a pretty logical trade candidate. Right? He has this year left on his deal and next year. If we follow the recent precedent of what the Brewers have done with players on expiring contracts, they typically trade those guys away when they have a year remaining. Corbin Burns, Devin Williams. Now, they didn't do that with Willy Adames, and I think we all kind of understood and accepted that. It's like if there was ever a guy to ride out until the end, it's a guy like Willy Adames. So I understood that. But typically, and again, recent precedent, I'm not pulling this out of nowhere, the Brewers typically trade away a guy like that with 1 year remaining. And it's like, well, if the team isn't going to be any good this year, why not get a little bit more bang for your buck? Sell that player with a little bit more urgency to a team that's a little bit more desperate now at the trade deadline. Probably will be more of a market. Teams willing to be, a little bit stronger and a little bit more aggressive with their offers. And then the Brewers started winning. So we haven't really talked about that. We haven't talked about Freddy Peralta's even a concept of a trade candidate in probably over a month. I still see him being written about a little bit, which is a little odd. Again, a month or two ago, it made a lot more sense, which is why we kicked it around and talked about it a month or two ago. Now, not so much. We've talked a lot about Freddy and his performance and what it's like to watch Freddy, which is what makes last night so funny. It's why I want to begin with Freddy specifically from last night. It was a total joy to watch Freddy Peralta pitch last night. Do you understand the weight behind that statement? I'm going to say it again. It was a joy to watch Freddy Peralta pitch last night. Do you understand the meaning behind that statement? Not only did he pitch well, but it was actually pleasing to watch. It was enjoyable to watch. It was a good product. It didn't make me want to pull my hair out. It didn't give me a headache. His final line last night, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 98 pitches, 60 of them were strikes. And I think that's an especially impressive lineup when you consider he was doing it against Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman at the top of the lineup, who, by the way, haven't even done their best hitters. That's been guys like Will Smith or Andy Pajes, I believe, not Pages, but Pajes. And Freddy Peralta even talked about that after the game last night. He was asked, I believe, by Steve McGargy, like, is preparing for this lineup a little bit different than preparing for most of your starts?
Yeah. Normally, I before the games, I have my routine and all that. But today it was a little different because I was like thinking, I'm not going to lie, I was thinking how I'm going to handle this lineup, having Ohtani leading off. It's not easy. And, it's hard to have a lead-off guy kind of like him. I was just competing out there, and like I said, I didn't try to do too much. I was trying just to execute my pitches.
It was a joy to watch Freddy Peralta pitch last night. That's a really meaningful thing to say, because as we've talked about, and a little bit of it is tongue in cheek, because if Freddie's going to go 6 innings, 1 run, I don't care if he throws the ball all over the place or if the results are there. So it's a little tongue in cheek, and we joke. But Freddie can be a little bit of an experience to watch sometimes. If you compare last night's start to his previous start against the Mets, right? Against the Mets, went 6 innings. Now, he gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, but the rest of the numbers look just about the same. Only 1 walk, 1 fewer strikeout, right? 2 more pitches, basically the same strike to ball ratio. They won both of those games. I'm talking about his start against the Mets in the opener of that doubleheader last Wednesday. They won 7-2. And the Brewers winning last night, 9-1. Very similar starts. The difference, of course, is the 2 earned runs, but the games weren't close. The Brewers won that game against the Mets by 5. They won last night by 8. And yet, and I don't think I'm crazy, we talked about this last week. I think a lot of Brewers fans would understand where I'm coming from here. For whatever reason, last night felt so much different. You say, well, maybe it's a matter of efficiency, but like he had similar, strike to walk numbers or strike to ball numbers. If you look at his total number of pitches, about 70% of his pitches were strikes in both of his last few starts. Like, why did last night feel like a joy? It felt like a breeze. Oh, look at Freddie. Freddie's doing his thing. Where last Wednesday against the Mets, maybe it was just the 25 pitch first inning. Maybe that was it. Last night, the first inning, I can't remember if he went 3 up, 3 down, Let me see here. I thought he did. Oh, he faced the minimum. There you go. There is the difference. So last night in the first inning for Freddie, Ohtani reaches on an infield single, and then Betts lines out, and then Freddie Freeman grounded out into a double play. Let me count the pitches real quick. 2, 5, 3. He had an 8-pitch first inning last night. Maybe it's just all about the first inning with Freddie for me. Maybe that's what it is. It's like there's a difference, and it clouds the whole start. You have a 25-pitch first inning, and I'm just going to have like a knot in my stomach the rest of your start. You go not 3 up, 3 down, but you face the minimum, basically 3 up, 3 down, and you only throw 8 pitches in the first. Now it kind of feels like we're cruising. We're going here, especially then when the Brewers follow that up with 5 runs in the bottom of the first. Here's Pat Murphy on Freddy Peralta's 6 scoreless last night.
Yeah, Freddie was sensational. He attacked with all 3 pitches, and that's a great lineup, maybe the best lineup in baseball. And he attacked and proved, to himself and to all of us, like he can withstand it. He was sensational.
He was really good. And again, it was a joy to watch, which if you're an outsider, you'd be like, well, no kidding. You had fun watching. He threw 6 shutout innings against the Dodgers. Your team won. Yeah, I've watched Freddy Peralta throw 6 shutout innings before, 5 shutout innings before. I've seen the Brewers win a game that Freddy Peralta started and he goes 6 innings, only allows 2 runs. Like I've watched the Freddy Peralta experience before. More often than not, it's headache inducing or it's eye roll inducing. Or it's like, oh God, guys throwing some pitches to the backstop here. And last night it wasn't. Freddy Peralta is not an ace's ace. He's not the tippy top. He's not the 1% of baseball and that you can rely on him, 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 games to go out there and be a stud and to be a stopper. Right? Freddy Peralta always has kind of been a number 3 starter. The top end stuff to come out and dominate, but not necessarily the consistency to do it every time. And I understand that about Freddie. So asking him to be, prime Corbin Burns or prime CC Sabat, it's not going to happen. But still a very good pitcher. I think my recent qualms with Freddie is, okay, I'm down for the 5 innings, 102 pitches, inefficient. Like, all right, if the results are fine, all is well that ends well, I suppose. But what I've been saying about Freddie over the last 2 weeks is I'd like to see the dominant start a little more often. Like just a little bit more frequently. I would like to see that top end. I'd like to see that high end start from Fred just a little bit more often than we've seen it. Last night, that counts. That qualifies. I don't know if last week against the Mets qualifies, although maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on that. He only gave up, 2 or 3 hits? I think one of the runners that scored in that game was a walk and another was a hit batter. But then again, therein lies the frustration with Freddy Peralta. Like there's always a little sloppiness. There's always a little messiness, but pretty cool to see him do it at home last night. He's been unbelievable at home and really cool to do it on, the heels of an all-star announcement. So really cool for Freddy Peralta. I think he's the story last night. We can talk more about Andrew Vaughn and Joey Ortiz, who Pat Murphy put on blast before the game, but I got a phone call. I might as well take it. What the heck? 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, good afternoon. It's Corey out of Marshall. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I figured it was either you or Denny from Holman, so I had a 50-50 shot. What's up, Corey?
So I got a question for you, Grant.
Yes.
With this current offense, as it's currently constituted, and you've noted the preponderance of slappy hitters on this offense, do you think they are, how's the best put it, not primed, but built enough right now to win a playoff series from an offensive standpoint, knowing the pitchers you're going to face?
Are they primed to win? Are they better positioned to win a playoff series than in the past? Is that what you're asking?
Is a combination of Andrew Monasterio and Joey Ortiz at shortstop, a Sal Frelick in right field, a Durbin at third base, and Terang at second. With the guys that you're going to face in playoffs, are those guys the type of players that can overcome a dominant pitching? Like, in other words, where they don't leave a guy out for 3 innings to give up single after single.
Well, I think, Corey, and that's a good call. I'll give you an answer. I think tonight might be a good indicator. Clayton Kershaw. Right now, Clayton Kershaw, I have not been examining every start. I haven't watched every outing, but from what I hear, I listened to Dom's postgame last night, and I listened to Micro Brew, and I feel like I listen to enough smart baseball people. Basically, the gist with Kershaw right now is he's not Clayton Kershaw, but he's still Clayton Kershaw. Which, if you're not a sports fan and you would hear that comment, you're like, what the hell does that mean? But if you're a baseball fan, you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I mean, he's not Clayton Kershaw, but he's still Clayton Kershaw. Tonight will be a good test. I'm interested to see how Ortiz fares. He'll be back in the lineup. Durbin, I assume, will be in the lineup. Terang, Frelick, those 4 guys. Third base, shortstop, second base, right field, Corey. You mentioned those 4 bats, so let's just talk about them. They make their bones, and really the Brewers have made their bones offensively this year around the likes of Chourio, Contreras, Yelich, who are kind of their big 3. The idea with the rest of the lineup, I have to assume, is we want guys who swing at the right pitches and don't swing and miss. We're not giving up outs via the strikeout. And that's reflected in the player profile of Caleb Durbin and Joey Ortiz and Sal Frelick, right? Elite bat-to-ball skills. There's not a lot of pop there. There's not a ton of power, but they don't swing and miss. They put the bat on the ball and they make stuff happen, which is a big reason why this team is leading Major League Baseball in infield hits. It's a big reason why Durbin and Frelick, I mean, it happened last night in the first inning. Durbin puts the ball on the ground to Mookie Betts, beats it out, creates a little chaos, right? Monasterio dumps one into right. We saw examples of this last night. Your question, Corey, or your idea of, well, how does that play in the playoffs? We'll see a little bit tonight against Kershaw, like against those highest of high-level pitchers. Does that still play? That's what I'm curious. Like, can Durbin still get up there and fight and put the ball in play even against the best pitches? Do those bat-to-ball skills transfer not just, Monday through Friday in the middle of the summer, but in a 3-game playoff series in October? And if so, then yeah, they have a chance to hang in there and beat teams in the playoffs, assuming you're getting that pop from Yelich, Chourio, which they have been. Contreras, I'm not really sure what we're going to do with. Maybe we'll talk with Jack Stern about that in the second hour of the show. But yeah, those bat-to-ball skills just have to maintain. Those guys can't start striking out. And I think that's why Pat Murphy has such a beef with Joey Ortiz. It's like, look, buddy, you're up there because you don't strike out and you play great defense at short. If you start striking out and you start watching strike 1, strike 2, strike 3 right down the middle, then you're no good to me. Then you're no use to, you don't fit in what we're trying to do, which makes total sense, right? The bat-to-ball skills just have to maintain, and they have to still continue to be a thing even against the best pitching. Tonight should be an interesting example, right, against Clayton Kershaw. It stuck against Paul Skeens. Let's go back just 1 week. That's probably even a better example. So, Corey, if you want a little optimism about, hey, the thing that they're trying to build, does it still work against the best of the best? It worked really friggin' well against Paul Skeens last week. That inning was a tremendous example of the way they've built this lineup and how they try to get by in the spots other than Yelich, Chourio, and Contreras. Now, Contreras is injured, but again, theoretically or logically, he fits into that, duo or trio of guys who can actually provide pop and power, even though his, hand injury is limiting him a little bit. When we come back, I want to take some more of your Brewers phone calls. We're going to hear a little bit more from the audio from last night after the game. We can continue to pick at the Joey Ortiz story, drama, Joey Ortiz gate, bench gate, whatever you want to call it. That's all coming up next. It's the Wisco Sports Show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
He's a really good pitcher. He's a frontline starter in our league, and he pitched a really good game. And they got out early, scored some runs. I made a bad mistake there with making an error. And once you get somebody like Freddy pitching downhill, it's going to be pretty good for you.
Smokey Betts after the game last night talking about the job that Freddy Peralta did. 6 scoreless innings, 98 pitches, about 60% of them strikes. What did he have? 6 or 7 strikeouts and 1 walk. That'll play. And obviously, when you're up 5-1 after the first inning, you can pitch downhill a little bit better. You can be a little bit more aggressive. I was joking with Bill earlier today. I couldn't help but laugh. I was listening to long stretches of the game last night. I was kind of out just running errands and doing some things after work, so I had the game on in my AirPods. And I just laugh at the Brewers taking a 4-0 lead and extending an inning against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts might be one of the best baseball players of my generation. Freddie Freeman, probably the best first baseman of my generation, both future Hall of Famers, and the top free agent pitcher from Japan a year ago. That's the triumphant. Those are the Axis powers, right? And the Brewers extended the inning off of that because Caleb Durbin put the bat to the ball and ran really fast. Okay. Yeah, you guys can hit the bombs and have the massive payroll. See if we can't keep this rally going, make a 3-0 ball game, a 4-0 ball game, because Caleb Durbin hits the ball and just tears down the first baseline. A very funny contrast to me, at least. Let's take your calls. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Uncle Packer.
Uncle Packer, good evening.
Good evening. Hey, I got a couple things I want to say.
Okay.
I watched the Brewers game last night. I'm so happy with this team. You know, about just think 2 months ago, how we were like, oh my God, it's going to be a terrible season.
Not me. I never wavered for a second. Don't put that negativity on me, Uncle. Don't put that on me.
All right. But here, this is great. You know, we talk about trade. I don't understand. What are we going to do with Blake Perkins and Garrett Mitchell? I mean, we got so much bat and so much potential out there. We got an abundance of pitching right now, which I don't think we need to even change. I really like that, but we should be able to put a package together and get a big bat in if we need it.
Yeah. Well, Chad Patrick probably slots best in the bullpen. If they got to move someone to the bullpen, he's probably the best option because of that cutter and his type of stuff. Plays a little bit better in shorter usage or bullpen roles than Quintana or Cortez. I think the Brewers probably like Nestor Cortez more than Quintana. So could they put a package of Quintana and some other things to go get a bat? It depends on who's out there and how much it costs. On Blake Perkins, just give him the Daz Cameron role. He's your 4th outfielder. He probably plays sparingly, defensive replacement, pinch runner type of thing.
He's a very smooth outfielder. He's like
smooth is a good word.
He's out there. He's got a good feeling of the outfield. But we've got, what we can do with Jackson Churio. Anyway, I got something kind of different I want to say.
Okay.
I'm kind of a different kind of guy, and I'm having a party on the 19th of July, a celebration of life party. And I have all 9 of my children and friends from the Navy and multiple groups of large family.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure that Clem Head Mike and the people who are up here, and if you want to stop by, I would love it.
Oh.
Uncle Packer's having a party. It's going to be good.
Is it a celebration of your life?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're kind of different. Maybe a little bit narcissistic, but, 15-year-old Hispanic girls have a quinceañera, a coming out party. Well, I'm 65 and I'm coming out. I'm having so much. I'm not coming out of anything but just being way happy.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna come out and have a ton of fun. Yeah.
Yep.
I just want to have, you know what I mean? I've raised 9 children in this house. It's a big house, and I don't need it anymore. And I want everybody to be able to come home once before it's gone. And I just got a lot of stuff going on, and I want to be able to travel and be free and do stuff like that, you know? So I want to say goodbye to my kids and have fun with them before when I am dead.
You going to sail around the world?
I want to do some things. Yeah, I want to spend a season in the sun with just sunglasses and suntan lotion, shorts, and sandals. You know what I mean? There's stuff I want to do yet.
So you're not going to spend the rest of your life fishing in New Auburn? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it's a pretty good choice.
It's better. There's worse problems to have for sure.
Hey, I want to wade out into the ocean and just fish. I love doing that. I love shore fishing or surf fishing, and you know, I just got plans. Places I want to go yet. You know, I lived my early 20s in Japan, and I haven't been back there since. And I got to get back over there, and I want to travel some more. I want to see Europe yet. So there's a lot to do. I'm only 65.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of time. I like this idea, celebration of life, and we'll set this up. If I hear from Clemhead, and I'll pass this along because I do see his comments on Bill's live stream. I know his Facebook. I'll pass this along to him, Uncle Packer. It just made me think of everyone always does this. It's like that Seinfeld episode, or it's like that but it is like the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Albert Brooks throws what does he call it? An alive funeral. That's more narcissistic. Uncle Packer, you are throwing a party where you bring all your friends and family together to celebrate at your home. Is it narcissistic? Sure, but then every party is narcissistic, right? Every birthday party, every retirement party. Yes, every party on its face on some level is narcissistic. I don't think what you're doing is especially narcissistic. It's the proper amount of narcissism for a party. It's not like, again, Albert Brooks and Curb, where it's like he's actually pretending to be dead so he can listen to people give eulogies. Although there is something like kind of clever about that. Like, why should we waste fine words or kind words on someone once they're dead? I kind of believe that it's because a funeral isn't for the person who's dying. It's to pay tribute and to celebrate their life with those who remain and remain touched by the person who has departed. Not to get all philosophical, but I can't remember a live funeral or a live-in funeral or something like that. Maybe I can find a clip over the break. Uncle Packer, I think that sounds like a delight. And gosh, I really hope you can get Clemhead there. I might just invite myself. We will be in touch about that. I'm gonna actually come up there. Back to Freddy Peralta. I gave you Mookie Betts. I gave you Freddy Peralta, and I gave you Pat Murphy. Last night was about as good as I've seen Freddy pitch this year, and I know he's not going to pitch like that every time. That's why he was always second or third pony to Woodruff or to Burns, right? And Freddy and Mookie Betts in that answer, by the way, he doesn't call him an ace. He calls him a frontline starter in this league. Those were the words he used, right?
He's a really good pitcher, the frontline starter in our league. And
yeah, I think that's a great way to describe him. You're never going to feel bad about him taking the mound, but I don't think you can rely on him being a 5-star stud every time. I would like to see superstar Freddy or ace Freddy appear a bit more frequently than he has. It's not to say that Freddy's had a bad... You know what's funny is we've done so much pissing and moaning about Freddy Peralta's season, and well, maybe they trade him if this team isn't any good. His stat, he's 10-4 with a 2.7 ERA, 111 strikeouts. Like he's an all-star. He's having an awesome year. Now the whip is 109. The whip is a little high, and I think the command and the efficiency issues are what bogs us down a little bit. But again, as I said last week, if you just listened to the games or you just checked the box score after the fact, you'd think differently, I think, of Freddy Peralta than if you watch him. Because you can go a little crazy watching him labor and stress and throw a lot of uncompetitive pitches, and he just didn't really do that last night. A 5-run lead early gives him a little leeway to pitch freer and to pitch faster and to just come downhill. I can't imagine what it's like to pitch against that Dodgers lineup, because typically lineups, even the Cubs, who have a stacked lineup, you get to a portion of that lineup where you're like, okay, I got Matt Shaw, who's a really promising young player, but I can get him at the plate. Like, all right, I can take a breath and I can lock one down here. With the Dodgers, you go up against one of the best hitters, one of the baseball players on the planet in Shohei, And if you're lucky enough to get him, who's waiting? Oh, Mookie Betts. Okay, awesome, great. Oh, it's by the grace of God, I got Mookie Betts out. There's Freddie Freeman. Nice. He's got some of the best bat to ball skills, nearly impossible to strike out. Maybe the best first baseman of this generation. Future Hall of Famer. Yeah, great. It's just one after another. Can you imagine pitching against that lineup? 608-321-1670. One more call, then we'll take a break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's the Bronze Boomer.
I heard you make an appearance this morning with Ebo, Pete. What did you needed to, was it something related to war or something historical came up this morning and you needed to set the record straight?
It was George Armstrong Custer, and Petey the Brick was setting the record straight.
That's right, on Custer State Park, or it's some battle or something. I walked into the studio just as it was ending.
Custer at the Little Bighorn.
What did people have wrong? Give us a 20-second summary.
No, it's he disobeyed orders. He was a glory hound. And some of that was true, but it was more nuanced than that. But I mean, he's been criticized because he was up against all the natives in the world and he only had 200 men. Well, most of the battles were like that. It just so happens that, I mean, their fighting style was that, they were more hit and run. And this time he ran into, an amalgamation of tribes. And this time they didn't hit and run, but once again, and then, his superiors, who, let him take the bag for it because, he came back. He didn't come back alive, and the reason, he was famous, but the reason why that was, so shocking was that had never happened to American horse troops before. I mean, that they had gotten totally wiped out. So, I just wanted to kind of set the record straight.
No, you did. I heard you definitely did this morning. I can't remember who brought Custer State Park up, but anyways, what did you call to talk about before I hijacked your call before you could even start?
Well, I wanted to talk about Bill the curmudgeon, that you
Michaels
call screen 4.
Oh, sure. Yeah. What about him?
Well, no, I figure I might be 10, 15 years more, older than him. But, I mean, I don't want to go back to the good old days. You people have your, you're the majority now, and whatever you want to do is okay with me.
Are you talking younger folks? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, when I was, I'm a baby boomer, I had to listen to people from the Depression and, mostly Depression era, talk about how soft we were and we didn't want to work.
Did you ever get sick about hearing of the depression? Like, were people when you were younger, Pete, you ever like, oh God, we get it, you didn't have any food or money, like Jesus? Like, did you ever get sick of hearing about the Great Depression?
Well, actually, I felt, I said, wow, that's amazing that you survived it.
Good for you.
But yeah, right. But I mean, now that's fine, and you survived it. Now it's our time.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that I'm not jealous of these athletes because they make a lot of money, because it's showbiz. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Ortiz is that he's probably not that good. So I don't exactly if he wants to pick on somebody, maybe it ought to be somebody that makes a lot more money or has more notoriety, but to pick on him. So my point is, if your manager decides, messes up with the bullpen a couple times,
and he does,
does his general manager have the right to suspend him for a couple of days? And should somebody ask him in a press conference, well, what happened to the manager? Why hasn't he been playing? And then the general manager says, well, I'm pissed.
The GM's pissed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pissed. He's mismanaged the bullpen, and and I paid $1.95 to get those guys, and he's not using them. Would that be fair?
I mean, it would be very unorthodox, but I love the concept, Pete. And I just got to run, and I'm laughing because I saw a tweet from 18 hours ago. So when would that have been? 9:58 last night. It's from Cashew Jordan Love season at Cash Rap Supreme. tweeted, maybe Pat Murphy can be benched because the fans are pissed that Aaron Ashby was being used in a 9-run game. The group chat that I'm in was going bananas about Aaron Ashby pitching in that game last night, to the point where somebody in the group chat would says, this guy is our effing Andrew Miller and he's being wasted in a 9-run game. I love how public opinion has swayed so far to and fro on Aaron Ashby. I think he might be their best lefty reliever right now. And he might have like leverage stuff. I think right now, like strong middle relief, multi-inning guy. But like, I think at some point this season, we might see him in leverage, depending on like, could he end up taking, Jared Koenig's spot, something like that, high leverage lefty reliever type thing. I don't know. But you're absolutely right, Pete. We can talk a little bit more about the Joey Ortiz situation on the other side of this break, how Pat Murphy handled it. I don't think Brewers fans are upset about this. I don't think Joey Ortiz is handling this poorly, from what I heard at least. I think this is a fun topic. It's fun to listen to the Pat Murphy audio. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people have started, this generate. What do you mean this generate? Pat Murphy's old. Joey Ortiz is young. I don't think it is. It's not generational. He's not swinging at the right pitches. And the manager wants accountability. I don't know that it's generational, but Pete, I do love hearing tales of the olden days. Hearing about the depression. Be honest, Pete, it got annoying. It's like, Jesus, yeah, you save every little scrap of right. Yeah, I get it. Depression, there was dust. Like, come on, you got tired of that. We'll pick this up. We'll talk about Joey Ortiz, not the depression, next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Murph, Joey's been out of the lineup back-to-back days now. Is there something that he's dealing with?
Yeah, the manager's pissed. You know what I mean? I want him to give me his best approach at the plate, and we've given him a lot, and we play him every day, and we need him. We can't just have lapses at the plate like that, So he's got to fight through that.
Was it related at all to, it just seemed like he took a lot of pitches in Miami? Is that part of it?
Yeah, his swing decisions have been the worst it's been, and he's swinging the bat way better, but his swing decisions now, and then so all that mental stuff, though, sit and think about it.
One more time, that's Pat Murphy pregame last night. Ortiz is back in the lineup tonight. He's at short. Monasterio's playing third. Everything else is as one would expect based on lineup cards that we've seen throughout the season. I'll get to your phone calls here in 60 seconds, but to explain a little bit, Jack Stern has a really good story about Ortiz up at Brewer Fanatic. He's going to be here in about a half hour at 5:15. He'll check in with us from the ballpark, so I'm looking forward to that. Last year, Joey Ortiz had a 53% swing rate in the zone, meaning he swung at 53% of the pitches in the strike zone, which was among the lowest qualified hitters in baseball. Very bad. Over the weekend, that was about the number in Miami. He was about 52%. He swung at pitches inside the zone. Now, we'll ask Jack this. I don't think the issue with Ortiz is nearly as much about swinging at pitches outside the zone as it is ignoring pitches inside the zone. I think Joey Ortiz has the bat-to-ball skills, and his whiff percentage would back this up, to expand the strike zone and to battle pitches. I don't think the issue is nearly as much as swinging at pitches outside the zone as it is ignoring pitches inside the zone. I think that's the hanging point, and you saw that rear its ugly head when Joey Ortiz comes up and there's one out and there's runners at the corners. Buddy, you need to put the bat on the ball. You're the 9 hitter or the 8 hitter, depending on the game. They're not looking to pitch around you, man. You're getting fastballs down the middle. You need to go up there ready. And when he's looked his best over the last month, he's understood that. Recently, especially a couple of at-bats over the weekend, that just wasn't the case. Hence the benching. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Clemhead Mike.
Clemhead, did you hear Uncle Packer's invite extended to you earlier?
Yeah, I was hearing you on the radio. I'm watching on YouTube now, but I was listening on the radio, and I got to my phone as soon as I could. I'd love to go to Uncle Packer Mike's party. He sounds like one of the nicest guys I've ever heard.
Well, you're telling me.
And that one man sounds like too. So.
He came out to Wild Ridge when I was doing the show there with Bill, and he sat down and he introduced himself. I said, Uncle Packer, I brought a second headset because I didn't last time I was in lacrosse, and like Eric on I-90 was there, and I'm like, I can't. So I brought a second headset. And Uncle Packer goes, oh, well, I'm a little shy. It's like, since when? So you call the show every other day, but now you can't sit next to me and do the same thing? Whatever. So you two need to get together. You should attend his celebration of life.
I already got July 19th written down. Yeah, I was on the air with you. I know your microphone didn't work, but I didn't hesitate.
Oh, what a cluster. Yeah, that was tough. But we got through it. We fought through it.
Yeah, it was great. Even your speaker didn't work either, so it was just a rough one. But
hey, the radio show went on the air. That's always the priority. The radio show needs to work, and if something else has got to suffer, all right. But the radio show needs to work.
It's true. I've had one of my really bad sparkly headaches the last 2 days, so I haven't been able to go on the computer because I can't see the computer. It's too blurry. So I've been enjoying watching you on my 77-inch TV as usual. But
that's better with a migraine headache, the big screen.
Yeah, I get them. I you make me feel better. I can take my mind off stuff. And
Don't let me lecture you on screens. That seems backwards to me. But that's not your point. What were you going to say? Continue.
Oh, as I say, I can't wait to see. I would love to meet Uncle Packer, and I hope tonight is. I got the game recording tonight because last time I did it last week, it was a disaster. But maybe there's going to be something. They're both going to throw no hitters through 9 or something. It's going to be. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So no matter what, I've been a Brewers fan since 1970. So.
Well, this is about as good of a pitching matchup as you'll get. This is a little bit different from Mizorowski-Skeens, but Kershaw is certainly more of a... See, when you call him a legend, it sounds like he's not good anymore. He's still good. He's still Clayton Kershaw. He's just not Clayton Kershaw. He is a little bit of a DEI all-star, if I may say, and I say that tongue-in-cheek. We're not going to discuss, what is it, diversity... something and inclusion. I can never remember what the E is. Like Manfred's like, yeah, you're Clayton Kershaw. We'll put you in there. It's like, oh, okay. All right. That's how it works, I suppose. We don't have a Clayton Kershaw, so I can't bellyache about it too much because if we had a Clayton Kershaw on my team, I'd love that. It's like, yeah, an excellent tribute to a legend of the game. Thank you, Rob Manfred. Another great decision. So not the point, but tonight, very different than Skeens and Miz, but still two big names on opposite sides of their careers. And I hope for your sake and for everyone's sake that Miz gets it back on the tracks a little bit tonight. And the defense is going to have to be a part of that, which, Monasterio at third. Okay, we'll see. It's a choice. Monasterio is always a choice, not usually a choice that I would make, but that's fine. A little bit more from Jack Stern on Joey Ortiz. From a result standpoint, things have been trending in the right direction after limping to a 185, 254, 250 line, which is 2 home runs through June 14th. The Brewers shortstop is at 290, 323, and 500 with 4 homers in his last 65 plate appearances. Despite that substantial uptick in production, Ortiz has found himself in the crosshairs of the manager's ire. Murphy pinch hit for Ortiz in his final at bat on Saturday in Miami against the Marlins. He hasn't played since. And the benching, and I hate you with those statistics, a 52% swing swinging at 52% of the pitches in the zone, which isn't good enough. And there was an at-bat. I'm not going to go back through the play-by-play and find it. There was an at-bat with runners at the corners, 1 out. Like, that's an instance. That's an at-bat where Ortiz has to put the wood to the ball. You just have to. If it's a shallow fly ball and it's not quite deep, okay, but the idea is outside of Yelich, Churio, and Contreras and Hoskins, although whatever. Let's put Hoskins on the shelf. I don't want to talk about it or think about him for a month. Yelich, Churio, Contreras. Those are your 3 big sticks. The rest of the lineup is speed, defense, and bat-to-ball skills. Guys who don't strike out. Well, if there are runners on, especially a runner at third with less than 2 outs, Joey Ortiz needs to put the bat on the ball, especially when he sees 3 right down the pipe. Like, those are, like, that's something you need to recognize. And I can understand why Pat Murphy's frustrated. Many managers wouldn't handle it that way, but many managers aren't Pat Murphy. And I can tell you, there's fans all over baseball who wish, why won't the manager hold the players accountable? Well, Murphy's doing it. And we got a funny call on Bill's show earlier today. It's like, contrast this with Matt LaFleur. Fast forward 2 months from now, we're going to be talking about a player who made some stupid mistake, and Matt LaFleur's going to go to the podium and say, yeah, I take that personally. I need to put my guys in a better spot, but those mistakes aren't acceptable. If it happens again, you'll be on the sideline with me. And then they happen again, and the players aren't on the sideline. And that drives us nuts. So at least Pat Murphy's doing something about it. Contrast that with some of the complaints we've had about Matt LaFleur. Final segment of the first hour, including a plea from Mark DeRosa of MLB Central towards Mark Attanasio to do something. We'll continue the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Hot off the presses, or hot from my email. Mike Clemens just hit me up with 2 minutes of Murphy pregame. And I was going to get to this in hour number 2. We have Jack Stern, by the way, coming up at 5:15. Nick comments on the live stream, says, why isn't Durbin playing tonight? Is it an Ortiz type of issue? Well, Nick, why don't we just get right into that? I got 2 minutes of Pat Murphy audio. We can react to this together. I listened to a little bit over the break. This is straight from my email inbox via Mike Clemens. The bullet points that he has in the email. What lessons has Mizorowski learned since his last start? Who will play first for Rhys Hoskins with a thumb injury? And why is Caleb Durbin not in the lineup today? So we'll hear those 3 answers.
I don't know that. I think he's learned that, like, wow.
Starting with Mizorowski, what he's learned.
I don't know that. I think he's learned that, like, wow, I handled it. Here I am again. That went quick. That didn't last long. Meaning the time in between to think about it. You got to get busy preparing for your next one. And I think he's just maturing. That's part of it. You just kind of learn that when you fall off the branch, wow, I better take better care of my balance there, or I'll fall. So I think, like anybody else, when they're maturing, they're learning about it. And I think that he'll be back to compete again. I think there's that good competitor in there. I see it in him. We'll find out.
Sure. With the news on Rhys now and like more clarity on.
All right, latest. You can't hear Sophia. The latest on Rhys Hoskins and what they're going to do next.
Or do you want
some version of that?
Some version of that.
Some version, yeah. I mean,
it's a long time to navigate.
Yeah, Vaughn versus Yamamoto last night. I just felt like Yamamoto's kind of an even split guy, but he just got off the plane, no time to think. He's back in the big leagues. I just thought it was the right move, and it worked out. So, will he always face right-handers? No, maybe not. We got a pretty capable guy in Bowers, so he's done a lot for us. Kind of quietly done a lot for us. I'm very comfortable with Bowers out there.
Murph, is Durbin dealing with anything? Given
he's dealing with a lot of things,
And now Durbin
breaking into the big leagues. You know what I mean? First time in the big leagues and dealing with all that comes with it. You mean because I didn't play him today?
Well, even calling up Siegler and adding more depth on the infield and playing a lefty today, not in there. So
get him, Dom.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
Interesting. Is Durbin going through anything? What did he say? Yeah, he's going through a lot of things.
Yeah, Vaughn versus Yamamoto. So, will he always face right-handers? No, maybe not. We got a pretty capable guy. He's dealing with a lot of things, like breaking into the big leagues.
So I want to know what that means. The Brewers beat, maybe we could talk a little bit about this with Jack Stern coming up. Like after last night, if I was on the Brewers beat now, like I am asking about a player's absence from here on out. Now, it's not ridiculous for Joey Ortiz or Caleb Durbin to get a day off for Andrew Monasterio. It's not ridiculous for Bowers or Vaughn. Like there's no player on this team other than Yelich, Churio, or Frelick, maybe, where you look twice if they're not in the lineup once. You know what I mean? Like if Terang gets a day off against a lefty for Monasterio, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really like Andrew Monasterio that much, but is Terang supposed to play every day? There's no players on the team. If Churio's got the day off, I'd probably just assume it's a day off because he plays every day. There aren't really any players on this team who are like, not in the lineup, but now it's like, if Durbin doesn't play two straight or Ortiz doesn't play two, ask why. Because Murph's going to be like, well, I'll tell you why. He sucks at this and he needs to get better at this. And like, what is that answer?
He's dealing with a lot of things, like breaking into the big leagues, you know what I mean?
Breaking into the big
First time in the big leagues and dealing with all that comes with it. You mean because I didn't play him today?
All that comes with it. Well, that could be a wide range of different things. I don't know if you've heard the morning show, but part-timer Kate, producer Kate, who helps out on Bill's show, has mentioned that Caleb Durbin likes to contact the ladies, let's say, in an appropriate way, but he likes to contact the ladies. Could that have something to do with what Murphy's talking about? Almost assuredly no. But we don't know for sure that it doesn't have anything to do with it. Just something to think about. Maybe when you're trying to go to sleep at night and your mind won't turn off. That's mostly when I think about those things. Hour number 2, we'll get an update from Zach Heilprin and continue the show next. Jack Stern in about 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers and Dodgers going to play the second game of their series tonight at American Family Field. Milwaukee took the opener 9-1 last night behind a big first inning offensively and a great pitching performance from All-Star Freddy Peralta. They also did it without Joey Ortiz in the lineup. Manager Pat Murphy benched the shortstop because of what he believed were some poor at-bats in their series in Miami.
Yeah, the manager's pissed. You know what I mean? I want him to give me his best approach at the plate, and we've given him a lot, and we play him every day, and we need him. We can't have lapses at the plate like that. We've got to fight through them. Swing decisions have been the worst it's been, and he's swinging the bat way better than his swing decisions now. And so all that mental stuff, sit and think about it.
Murphy did say this morning that Ortiz will be back in the lineup tonight against the Dodgers. Meanwhile, the pitching matchup also of note tonight is future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw gets the ball for L.A., while Brewers send Jacob Mizorowski. Kershaw just recently hit the 3,000 strikeout mark. Enters game 4-0 with a 3.43 ERA. Mizorowski got a reality check last time out, giving up 5 runs in his fourth start. But he's still 3-1, with a 3.20 ERA coming into the game. First pitch at American Family Field, set for 6:40.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Bucs made it official yesterday with the signing of free agent center Miles Turner. Team also announced the re-signings of Bobby Portis and Kevin Porter Jr. along with the trade of Pat Connaughton to Charlotte. The Packers now just 15 days out from training camp. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Do you imagine Andrew Vaughn? Because Robert said it in the highlight. He's still basically learning his teammates' names, right? And gets a big hit to help him win a ball game. What do you think of the Brewers' new bats and their postseason aspirations?
He downplayed it, Lauren.
He said he blacked out.
He did. He said change of scenery. He's not totally buying into that. I'll disagree. Come on. You get sent down by the White Sox, a team that's trying to figure out their way, and you were the 3rd overall pick back in the day for this team, and then you get a new lease on life. He hit a grand slam in his first at-bat in AAA when he got traded over to Milwaukee for Aaron Savali, and then for him to have that moment, come on. You're just getting to meet people. Hey, how you doing? You go deep. And you go deep, and Pat Murphy sticks him in the 3 spot in the lineup.
Got a chance to make it.
the Wisco Sports Show presented by Inn on the River. If you're looking to plan your getaway to Western Wisconsin, lots to do over there. The Mississippi River. The Inn is across the street from the river. And the street, by the way, if you're watching on the live stream, you can see a picture. It's not a busy street. It's kind of like a frontage road, if a frontage road for a river existed. The marina is right around the corner. The Trempolo Hotel's right there. You can walk to Sullivan's Supper Club. So you have everything you need right there. And then day trips, Perot State Park right up the road. Elmaro Vineyard, you can golf Trempolo Mountain. And if you want, jump in the car, take a day trip down to La Crosse, buzz around downtown, down there, fart around in Riverside Park, right? You can be on the river if you want to bring a boat. It's right there. It's so convenient. So go online, inontheriverwi.com, or give them a call and ask them any questions you may have. It's amazing. You call places, and they're actually pretty helpful. We've learned to do a lot of our business online, and I know sometimes that's easier and that's preferable, but if you're visiting a place for the first time, going to a business for the first time, give them a call first. Just kind of explain your situation. It's amazing how helpful folks can be. 608-534-7784 or inontheriverwi.com. You can like their page on Facebook too and shoot them a message there if you have anything that needs to be cleared up or anything you want to know. Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic, in about 10 minutes. We'll certainly talk about this Joey Ortiz situation with him, among other pressing things. I want to talk about Freddy Peralta and what he saw last night too. Coyote Mike says, Grant, if the Dodgers would have jumped on Peralta for 5 runs in the first inning, would Murphy have pulled him as quickly as Roberts pulled his guy? I think not, but what do you think? I mean, at a certain, you have to at a certain point. Like, you can't let a guy throw 45 pitches in an inning. It's a matter of protecting your player. So even if you think, inning from hell, he'll bounce back or, he'll settle in. Well, if he can't get himself out of the first inning in a certain number of pitches, you don't have a choice. You know what I mean? You can't let your guy stay out there to get shelled and to hurt himself. So I think Murphy probably does something differently, unless it's, whoever, Brian Hudson, then maybe he leaves him out there to rot, but not Freddy Peralta. Coyote Mike also says, I thought the entire Dodgers team appeared smug and arrogant, no emotion, machine-like. Well, they're also going through it right now. And I know Mike sent me a cut last night. Here, let me pull it up from Dave Roberts about 4 losses in a row. They just got their ass pushed around by the Astros for a couple of games. They are going through it right now, and I think that's just part of a long season. The Brewers went through it early. I think the Dodgers are going through it right now. Here's Dave Roberts kind of speaking to what you're talking about last night, Coyote Mike.
To pitch better, we got to defend better, we got to take more competitive at bats. We're just not doing any of those things right now. So yeah, you look back 4 or 5 days ago, things look more positive, but this is a time for us to kind of look at ourselves and be better.
The ups and downs of a baseball season, I think, are filled with learning experiences to get tougher. A team that goes through a bad stretch to come out the other side, I think, is probably a better team for it, or a team with a better sense of mettle and competitiveness, I suppose. The Dodgers are probably going to win 100 games. They're going to throw a position player once a week, and they're going to be the Dodgers because they do have that much talent, and they're smart, and they're well run, and they develop players well. So yeah, I'll give them credit for that, but my team does the same thing. They just don't have $1 billion to spend on top of it. That's what's frustrating. A little bit of sound that was circulating on Twitter among Brewers fans earlier today. Mark DeRosa on MLB Central with a plea to Brewers ownership to get out there and do something because his team is good and they're playing well. Listen to this.
What I want to do is give the Brew Crew some love because they're scrappy, man. They always have been. You got to love Pat Murphy, but their lineup we talk about how do you add value? Old school, willing to move runners, hit the ball on the ground, do the little things. They smack you in the mouth with Sal Frelick. 2017 Gatorade high school Massachusetts football player of the year. If you don't think he gets you going, you're lying to yourself.
If you don't think Sal fires the boys up, then you can't be fired up, says one Mark DeRosa.
Then we got Jackson Churio, who Brian Anderson's back on the Brewers games, Lauren. I know huge fans of him.
Yeah, I saw that last night.
Do you know Jackson Churio is the youngest player in the big leagues?
I did not know that.
I feel like he's already immersed himself as one of, and I know he's not having a great year to start, but.
I know, by the way, this jumped out to me, and I'm not going to be the guy like, how dare you say Jackson Churio's not having a great year? He has not been the level of star that, maybe we saw at times last year that we'd hoped he'd be. He's 21, as DeRosa says. He also, as I mentioned the other day, he's top 10 in all of baseball in extra base hits. He's not an MVP candidate, which I think is his ceiling, and I hope as a Brewers fan, but also from a roster construction standpoint. He kind of needs to be what William Contreras was last year or the year before, where it's like fringe MVP candidate. There might be years where you're a little bit better, a little bit worse, but on average, like knocking on the door of the 5, 6, 7 best players in the National League. And I think by the time the season's said and done, he might end up there. I don't think his season has been as bad as some would say. Hasn't been a superstar, but still when he says, well, he's not having a great year, I think he's having a pretty good year. But so is Sal Frelick, right? Like the Brewers need a little bit more from Churio, totally. So let's not get hung up on that. The next part is the important part that I want to react to.
And then a resurgence from Christian Yelich, and I shouldn't say resurgence. He's just healthy. Yeah. But they are a scary, scary team because fastball Freddy can get it done. Mizorowski goes today.
And Brandon Woodruff.
And Brandon Woodruff looked darn good. Yeah. So, hey, I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
So, a plea to go and get somebody at the trade deadline. I don't even know. I typically prefer to avoid conversations about spending on the ownership level. I'll talk about moves that can or can't be made from the general manager. That's baseball. Mark Attanasio is going to spend what he can or what he wants to spend, and no amount of screaming into this microphone is going to change that. Now, I understand that no amount of screaming into this microphone is going to change most things. But there are fun conversations to be had. Everything's pointless. Nothing about this show, nothing on this show matters. I just prefer to engage in the conversations that don't matter and the ones that are fun. I don't find conversations about the spending of Mark Attanasio to be fun because what we can't change. And it gets tired. It gets old. Well, if you can't spend on the players who win a World Series, then you should sell the team. It's like, okay, yeah, in a perfect world that would happen. But all right, give your unicorn Cheerios and your rainbow milk this morning. In a perfect world, yeah, every sports owner would have the same amount of money and they would all just light it on fire for the good of our city and our fandom and our team. Yeah, duh. But that's not how it works. I think, and let's listen to that from DeRosa one more time there at the end.
I need the owner of
I love the clap, actually.
I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
Do you see the trade proposal at ESPN.com today? It's from David Schoenfield. Ronald Acuna to the Brewers for, get a load of this, Jesus Mate, Luis Pena, Sal Frelick, Logan Henderson, Abner Uribe. And most Brewers fans looked at that and said, my stars. Way too much. Too big of an overpay. Can't do that. Yeah, probably, but that's the going rate for a player like Ronald Acuna. I tell you what, if he had 2 perfectly good knees and I could knock either Jesus Mate or Luis Pena out of if I can keep one of the young shortstops and I get a player with good knees, I'd probably do it. I would give up, put it this way, I would give up Logan Henderson, Luis Pena, Sal Frelick, Abner Uribe for Acuna. Or I would give up Mate, Frelick, Henderson, Uribe. I need to save one of those young prospects. People are like, well, you can't give up Sal. Look, I like Sal fine enough. I would, though. Like, Acuna's really good. The problem isn't even Acuna's contract. I think he's got like 3 more years of club control at like $17 million. And then I think he's got a club option the next 3 years. So the Brewers could keep that price locked in. I looked this up earlier today. Let me make sure I have this exactly correct. I'm not going to break down like the salary tables with you, but I can give you an idea. He's set to make $17 million this year, $17 million next year, and then he's got a club option in 27 and 28 for $17 million and $17 million. That is actually an incredible deal for the Brewers. The knees worry me. Like that's more what I worry about. Injuries are always a risk. He's 27. By the time he's an unrestricted free agent, he's 31, which is just about the time you want to be out of deals, expensive deals anyways. To me, it's the knees, and it's like one too many prospects. But that's barking up a kind of correct tree. We're in the right forest, at least. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic, going to join us live from the ballpark. We can talk about everything going on with the team and get ready for Ms. Kershaw tonight. He'll be here next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show. 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Herb Joey's been out of the lineup back-to-back days now. Is there something that he's dealing with?
Yeah, the manager's pissed.
It's going to be one of my favorite sound bites for a while. It's Pat Murphy yesterday. One more time for good measure, because why not? Ortiz is back in the lineup tonight. Our national nightmare is over. Durbin is not, and Murphy gave kind of an interesting answer pregame today. He's like, yeah, Durbin's going through a lot of things. He's, basically acclimating to life in the major leagues. It's like, now, wait a minute. What does that mean? Here to talk about all this, Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic. You can hear his podcast with Spencer. I reference his work all the time on the show, so I'm thrilled to have him. How's the ballpark, Jack? It's nice to see you. Thank you for doing this.
Nice to see you. As far as how the ballpark is right now, it's a little hot, a little muggy in here right now. I'm not super comfortable sitting in the load level right now, but we'll take it. We'll take it. It'll get better, hopefully.
Could you guys feel it? I'm always curious when you're talking with Murph or like previously with Council and they tell you something that you know is just going to go nuts on the internet. Like, is there a feeling? Do you guys give each other little side eyes like, oh boy, they're going to eat that alive on Twitter for the next couple hours?
Well, I wasn't in the room for the Council era, but there's just kind of an awareness if you're a media person. Like, that's a good soundbite. I mean, you played it again. It's a good soundbite, so there's awareness of that, yeah.
That's funny. Council gave us significantly fewer good sound bites, so even if you weren't there, I don't think you really missed all that much. Let's talk about Ortiz real quick. It seems to me that the problem with him is ignoring strikes more so than chasing balls. He's got good bat-to-ball skills, and I think he can expand the zone. You had a good story on this yesterday, and I kind of shared some of the numbers, but talk about why specifically Pat Murphy's been unhappy with Joey Ortiz.
Yeah, so I mean, this has been a long-running issue for Joey Ortiz, and it's exactly what you said. It's that he doesn't swing at enough strikes. I actually wrote about it last offseason already. looking at his first season with the Brewers last year, he had the lowest swing rate among qualified hitters on pitches in the strike zone. So just letting a lot of strikes go by. If you look at like StatCast can kind of sort through your run value based on different areas of the strike zone. He had a negative 11 run value on pitches that they classify as being over the heart of the plate. So really catching a lot of the white of home plate. Like those are pitches you got to be doing damage on, and he just wasn't offering at them. So even though he was a decent overall hitter, there was a pretty obvious issue there. It's been a little better on the whole this year. He's swinging at more in-zone pitches, but it's still one of the lower rates in baseball. And it seems like for Pat Murphy, just watching some of those at-bats, both in New York, but especially in Miami, you look at his at-bats in that Miami series. You talked about the story that I put up on it yesterday. I had the numbers in there. He only swung at like 50% of pitches in the strike zone in Miami, or over this last road trip, I should say, which is right back to where he was at his worst. And then there was also chase on top of it. He had a lot of at-bats where he was taking 3 strikes down the middle, and the one pitch he swung at and fouled back was a pitch that was at his eyes. And I can understand why there'd be a little frustration there on Murph's part because, you know, hitting's not easy, and Joey Ortiz has had to battle a lot this year to try to find something mechanically that takes time. You got to be patient with it. But things like swing decisions, those are process-based things that you can clean those up a lot more quickly, and to kind of see him take that step back. I can understand why there's a little bit of frustration there, and he maybe felt the need to kind of convey that with some urgency yesterday.
Well, and it's funny, he's hitting 8th or 9th. Like, he at this point, I talked to Tom Catroni about this last week. He realizes he's getting fastballs. Like, guys are not trying to pitch around him. So I think, especially considering the player that he is relative to the rest of the lineup, like, he should understand by this point in the season, especially, he's going to get those pitches. So to not be ready for him is a little frustrating. I want to talk about Freddy Peralta and what we saw last night. What do you see in Freddy when he's on like that versus a start where it's 5-6 innings, 100 pitches, where he has to work a little bit harder? What separates good Freddy from great Freddy in your eyes?
I think it's just controlling the misses, making sure that there's not too many big misses. Whenever he has a rough start, it's usually because that pitch count is soaring on him, and that pitch count's soaring because he's got everybody in a full count, can't put guys away, has a lot of these 8-9 pitch at-bats, and that just puts him on a bad trajectory throughout the course of the game. And look, I'm not going to pretend that's something that's been cleaned up super well yet. I think even last night we saw it a little bit, especially as he started getting into like that 4th, 5th inning. I think it was the 4th inning. He had everybody in an 0-2 count or a 1-2 count, and they all ended up going to 3-2. But still, there's something to be said for limiting it to that inning as opposed to that being the case the entire game. And I think you do got to give him credit, too, for at least being able to win those 3-2 counts. He only walked one guy, even if he had some of those deep counts. So everybody knows the stuff plays for Freddy Peralta, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for, over the years, how aware he's become of how he needs to pitch guys, how he needs to sequence, being able to feel his way through a game and know which of his secondary pitches are working, which ones aren't, how to adjust the game plan from there. That missing piece for him, and usually what tends to determine how the outing goes, is how many of those bad 2-strike misses does he have, how many deep counts does he deal with. And it wasn't great last night, but it was a lot better than it is in some of those rougher outings. So you got to give him credit for shutting down that Dodgers lineup.
Keeping misses more competitive. And also, and I don't have it in front of me, but a lot of his strikeouts, a big majority of them last night were on the secondaries, right? He only had like a strikeout or 2 that were on the fastball last night, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the way his stuff is played, really going back to last year, this isn't entirely new this year, that fastball doesn't necessarily dominate guys like it used to. He still uses it plenty because, you know, if you're a starting pitcher, you've got to be able to establish a fastball to work deep into the game. It's not like you're coming out of the bullpen and you can throw a billion breaking pitches like some of these guys do. But he's putting guys away with the secondaries a lot more. I think there are times where you can get quick outs with the fastball. But when he's punching guys out, a lot of times it is using that secondary stuff, and that kind of comes back to what I talked about. I think he's a little more aware now of being able to feel out those pitches, knowing how to execute them, knowing when he needs to go to them. I mean, you look at kind of the progress from when he first came up several years ago. He was pretty much a fastball-only guy, and now he's a guy who's putting guys away with changeup, slider, curveball. His changeup's a big pitch, too. I mean, there's not a lot of guys who can throw it to lefties and righties, and the numbers are about the same in terms of how effective it is, how much swing and miss he gets with it. He's still pretty fastball-heavy with how he tries to get ahead of guys, but the way he's using the secondaries, that's really where a lot of the swing and miss is coming from these days.
Becoming a pitcher, not just a thrower, I feel like is something that we hear pretty commonly. I think that probably describes Freddy throughout the years as well. Jack Stern is here, live at the Loge level, getting ready for Miz and Kershaw tonight. I said last week after he struggled against Mets, I want to see how the rest of that start would have gone had Terang just squeezed that ball at second and that inning ends. Like, does he get it together in the next inning, and does the start actually become pretty great? The velocity dipped. He lost his command a little bit. What did you see from Miz in that last start, and how much of it should we really be concerned about moving forward?
I think that seemed to me like the first start where things weren't going his way and they snowballed on him. He couldn't really quite rein it back. And that was always kind of the thing for him as he was coming up through the minor leagues. A lot of times, the walks have always been an issue. He's always going to walk guys. That's never going away completely, I don't think. But in the minor leagues early on, it was, he's missing for a stretch of 3-4 batters at a time. This year in AAA, it was, he maybe misses and walks a guy and then dials it right back in. That's what we saw in the first 3 outings. That was really the first start in New York there where he was missing, he kept missing. Things didn't really get a whole lot better. Then the velo dipped. He said he was getting on the side of the ball too much, not staying behind the fastball, things like that. It just seemed like the first start to me where he didn't quite rein things in, and it kind of just kept going in the wrong direction. Multiple 2-out walks, then the home runs coming in. Terang obviously not making that play has a pretty big impact on the inning as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how he responds in this one because, like I said, the first start where he didn't shut things down right away. But I think it's good for him that experience happened as quickly as it did. I would prefer to have that happen than he has, like 10 dominant starts here, and then you're gearing up for the playoffs and he gets punched in the mouth for the first time in an even bigger spot. He's got a good head on his shoulders just from getting the chance to talk to him in the clubhouse since he's been up here. I think he's going to be able to respond to it.
All right. Well, I like to hear that. What was the dip in velocity? Was that fatigue or something mechanical? Because mechanical, that's something that you can adjust and work on for your next start. I need to make sure that you said staying behind the fastball. But if it's fatigue, like, hey, sometimes an infielder kicks a ball around or something happens out of your control and an inning extends, and I don't really know if it's an option for Miz to just lose 6 or 7 miles per hour on his fastball. So talk about the missed velocity especially.
Yeah, I think it could be a couple things. I would probably point to the mechanics as the big one. Usually that's going to be what happens. I mean, we're not in the day and age of guys taking stuff off their fastball to try to find the strike zone. That's not really how pitching works anyway, because think about it. If you slow your body down to try to land a fastball, everything's going to be out of sync and you're going to throw fewer strikes. So he's told us before even that he's trying to throw every pitch hard. So I don't think it was so much a conscious thing. I think it has more to do with just the mechanics weren't quite in sync. Think about it. If you're getting on the side of a fastball, you're not ripping it quite the same way as you normally would. That's basically the difference between throwing more of a backspin fastball and throwing a little bit more of a cutter. There aren't many guys who throw their cutter as hard as they throw their fastball, their main fastball. I think that's part of it. That's a long inning, too. I mean, he's not a guy who's had to experience that in the big leagues yet. High-stress pitches are very much a thing. Those take more out of you than if you're cruising. So who knows? Maybe that's part of it as well, just a long inning, getting a little worn out there. When he came back for the next inning after that rough inning, I don't think it's a coincidence that the velocity started to tick back up a little bit again. I think that's something, if you're just out there battling, it's a long, long inning, lots of high-stress pitches. That can take it out of you too. So I think it's just another example of it's a young guy. He's learning how to figure some of this stuff out. But I don't think it's anything that should be a concern long-term. I wouldn't be shocked if it's the last time it happens in a start this year. But there are just little things when it comes to pitching that can have that kind of impact on your velo. And he's got to find ways to battle through it in the big leagues because that's what separates the guys who have been here for a while from the guys who are getting their feet wet.
Lastly, with Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic, Murphy said a week ago or so, like, we need all our relievers, all 8 of the guys or whoever he mentioned, to be able to pitch leverage, which I disagree with a little bit, but Grant Anderson pitched in leverage-ish innings over the weekend, and we'll see how they use DL Hall. Are we actually on a path to Aaron Ashby being the best left-handed reliever in this bullpen? Is that where this is going?
I think we're getting there. I think at the very least he needs to be getting more consistent leverage looks than he's gotten so far.
Okay.
I like the way that Murphy used him in Miami. I think that's like the ideal situation for Aaron Ashby. Give some of those other A guys a night off. You've got a shorter start. You need someone to kind of bridge like 5th, 6th, maybe 7th inning. He can go in there, chew up those innings. I don't want to say it's quite like Josh Hader back in 2018, but it's a little bit similar. Like he's got
Andrew Miller.
Andrew Miller, yes, that would be another good comp. Like he can eat some innings for you because he's a little bit stretched out. At least he can throw up to 50 pitches in an outing if you needed to. Use him in those spots. I think those are the spots that are tailor-made for him. I get why he pitched last night. You can't ask Easton McGee to eat 3 innings to close that game out. He's not used to going that far. But you were up 9-0, and making Aaron Ashby throw 40 pitches when you're up 9-0, like that's not how I would be doing it. I think if anyone's familiar with the podcast or any of the stuff I've written, like that is one of the bones I have to pick with Pat Murphy sometimes. He's done a great job in a lot of facets, but the way that he chooses to assign, number one, what seems to constitute a leverage outing, and then who his leverage guys are on any given day, it seems like it's just not always consistent, maybe not drawn out in a way where it's always super sustainable with workloads. Like, define what Aaron Ashby's role is. I guess that's kind of where I'm at, because he's kind of pitching all over the place right now. But I'd like to see him get more of those outing pitches.
Me too. I would like to see him. I think when he first came up and started pitching, it's like, I just want to see him pitch more. I want him to be able to get into a rhythm. And now it's like, okay, now I want him to pitch more in his intended role. So we're getting there. It's a long season. I guess we have time. Jack, I appreciate the time, man. Enjoy Miz and Kershaw tonight. This should be cool. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic podcast with Spencer. It's very good in his work at Brewer Fanatic as well. If you listen to the show, again, with any regularity, I reference his stuff all the time because it's always pertinent to what's being talked about among Brewers fans that week or that day. It's always pertaining to the big play from last night or the big Pat Murphy management decision. And I appreciate any time I can get any of those Brewers folks joining from the ballpark before the game. We'll continue this discussion next. We'll take our 5-minute break here at the bottom of the hour. It's the Wisco Sports Show presented by In on the River. We'll be back in just a couple with some. Yeah, wait. Hold on. Now, if I was a more formal, stuffy radio host, I would have gone to break there. But as I was about to go to break, there was a phone call coming in. And why wait? If a caller's ready right now, we can put the break off a couple of minutes. Let's take a call. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Piano Man Howe here. How you doing, my brother?
Piano Man Howe, I am well. How about you?
I'm great. I'm just driving to a music rehearsal right now after running some errands today. I'm not paying huge attention to the Brewers this year, but it sounds like Mizorowski is a really exciting prospect, and you just had someone on talking about him. Correct?
Have you watched him pitch yet?
I've seen some highlights. The dude looks seriously impressive.
Well, he's like 6'7", and he throws 102 miles an hour. Like, if there was any reason to ever watch baseball, even if you're not a baseball guy, I think that constitutes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What's new in the world of Grant?
What's new? What's new in the world of Grant? Ryan, I appreciate it. What's new in the world of Grant? I don't know. I might go to a Brewer game this weekend. They're at home this weekend, right? I thought about maybe. I think they're at home against the Nationals. Nothing's ever new with me. I appreciate it, Ryan. Nothing's new with me. Coyote Mike says, Grant, I booked reservations at In on the River, and I mentioned you. We have a wedding October 4th. The lady owner was happy with your ad. Excellent. And Piano Man Howe, I know you play at the Trempolo Hotel right across the street. You'd probably, next time you call in, Ryan, we'll have to talk about that. I wish I would have seen that text first. Because I know you're talking about going to music rehearsal. You play at the Trempolo Hotel all the time. Teacher Tom says, I'm listening to the Monday show, so I'll hear your answer later today or tomorrow. Oh, sure. Are we underrating the Brewers? That depends on what your expectations are. Do you think we reach the NLCS, or do you expect 85 to 90 wins, reach the playoffs, and losing consecutive days? I can't predict the playoffs right now. It's too far out. I'm talking about regular season wins and regular season performance. They're on pace for 90 wins, slightly higher than 90 wins after yesterday, if you do the math technically, I think. I haven't done it. But yeah, 85 to 90 wins. The problem is, Teacher Tom, I don't think they're getting talked about like a 90-win team. I think some of that is preconceived notions from the first month of the season when they sucked ass through a straw because of injuries and a bunch of other things. Ortiz was scuffling, and they just started the year without a major league third baseman, which anybody could have told you was a mistake. I did tell you. I'm like, all right, we're doing Oliver Dunn, I guess. Like, hopefully he's good, but probably won't be, and then we'll be figuring out third base in the middle of the season. Now we will go to break. In on the River in Trempolo. Mention him one more time. 608-534-7784. InOnTheRiverWI.com. They present the Wisco Sports Show, and we will be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Got 2 segments left. I want to circle back to that cut from Mark DeRosa, MLB Central, that I played earlier, pleading the Brewers owner, who I think is sometimes painted as a bit of a villain when it's not totally fair. I think sometimes it's fair. You own a sports team, the pressure is going to be on you to spend. That just comes with the territory by owning a sports team. I think Mark sometimes wears things that he shouldn't wear, and I think a lot of air and energy is wasted on conversations based on spending. And it's like, okay, but we're never going to, well, if he can't spend and put the money in, then he should sell the team. Okay, well, yeah, let's make a list of other things that should happen that won't. There's a bunch of them in the news all the time. It's In on the River presents the Wisco Sports Show, inontheriverwi.com or 608-534-7784. Beautifully located right on the river in Trempealeau, the Marina, the Trempealeau Hotel, Sullivan Supper Club, Perot State Park, El Morro Vineyard, Trempealeau Mountain Golf. I could keep going, but I won't. I won't continue to beat you over the head, but you can make your reservation inontheriverwi.com. Let's go back to the phone calls. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Michael in Lake Hallie.
Hey, Mike. You know what, Mike? I don't think we've ever had a Lake Hallie caller before. I think you're the first. A lot of Chippewa Falls, but
I didn't want to get confused with Mike and Eau Claire. So,
are you actually in Lake Hallie, or are you stretching that just a little bit?
Yes, okay. I'm totally Lake Hallie. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, what's going on, Michael? Happy to have you.
I've been wanting to call forever, and I want to know. Like, I know you kind of complain a little bit when the Brewers lose and have problems, but I know you're a fly fisherman, right?
Correct. Yes.
How long do you complain after you lose a fish?
Actually, not as much as I complain about the Brewers. If I lose a big fish, good. I'm over it pretty quickly, typically.
All right. It was the biggest question in my life, but we sit fish almost during every Brewer game, and we listen to you until we get caught off, like we will soon. But I was just wondering if you keep that going, where
if I just complain about every single thing in my life.
Complain about it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Are you asking if I just complain about every single thing in my life?
Yeah, kind of, but I know that the Brewers are that's your job. So
correct.
I was more or less. We just love listening to the Brewers, sitting out by the river, fishing, regardless of. Oh, and the arborvitae. We were talking about words that the K-dot, different pronunciations. They were talking about arborvitaes at Target Field being gone.
Really? Who said that?
Is that how it's said? Arborvitae is what I thought it was.
I thought it was too. It's always been arborvitae.
My birth certificate says Arborvitae, Wisconsin. So
you were born in Arborvitae. Is there a hospital there?
Arborvitae. We don't claim Minocqua. Those are like kind of uppity people for us. But
so you're from Arborvitae, and now you reside in the metropolis that is Lake Hallie?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Michael. I got your life story down, I guess. We'll enjoy. I appreciate you listening to both the show and the Brewers on our affiliate up there in Eau Claire, WAYY. I get over lost fit. First of all, I am framed on Bill's show and by certain callers on this show like the biggest fisherman in the world. I enjoy it, but sometimes it sounds, according to Bill or others, that like I do it like 5 days a week. Every couple of weeks, maybe. I haven't fished since May. Because typically when I go, like I want to go where I want to go. Like where I live in and around Madison or Milwaukee, there are options to go fly fish, but none of them get my goat. So I drive farther westward towards like Viroqua. But I need a week. That's the whole thing. So I can only do that every once in a while. Or like once a year for the last 5 or 6 years, go to Montana in like early August. That's like my summer vacation. Other than that, like I'm not parked on the dock 4 nights a week. And when I lose big fish, it's kind of become my thing out in Montana to lose big fish. I've lost some massive fish the last 2 years where everyone in the boat, like you're just silent. I get over it pretty quick. What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and be miserable about it? It's gone. It was cool that it almost happened. Better to have almost happened than to not happen at all. Now the Brewers I'll scream my head off about. That is partially my job, but I feel like I do complain about the Brewers more than I complain maybe about some of our other teams. To Mark DeRosa, describing this Brewers ball club and what he wants from Brewers ownership. The plea is at the end of this 65-second soundbite.
What I want to do is give the Brew Crew some love because they're scrappy, man. They always have been. You got to love Pat Murphy, but their lineup we talk about how do you add value? Old school, willing to move runners, hit the ball on the ground, do the little things. They smack you in the mouth with Sal Frelick. 2017 Gatorade high school Massachusetts football player of the year. If you don't think he gets you going, you're lying to yourself. Double. Then we got Jackson Chourio, who Brian Anderson's back on the Brewers games, Lauren. I know huge fans of him.
Yeah, I saw that last night.
Do you know Jackson Chourio is the youngest player in the big leagues?
I did not know that.
I feel like he's already immersed himself as one of, and I know he's not having a great year to start, but
which I think is a good year. Not great, like not MVP, conversation great, but I think that's a little, I agree with everything else in this.
And then a resurgence from Christian Yelich, and I shouldn't say resurgence, he's just healthy. Yeah. But they are a scary, scary team because fastball Freddy can get it done. Mizorowski goes today.
And Brandon
Woodruff looked darn good. Yeah. So, hey, I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
Actually, they were willing to fight a little bit more last year. I would like for some players to mix it up. It's been too long. I just keep marveling at the clap. It's pretty good. I can't get the echo in this radio studio. Just a little dead. Television studio, a little bit more space. It's pretty good. I don't know, like, they could have spent more this offseason on the likes of Yoan Moncada, Ha-Seong Kim. He's playing for the Dodgers right now. I think, unless it's a different Kim. I guess there's more than one. And it's not me being insensitive. It's just I'm not 100% sure, but let me check here. I thought it was Ha-Seong Kim. Let me make sure that it's the right Ha-Seong Kim. Yeah, it looks like the one. Yeah, that's I think I was right, actually. I think it's a different Kim. But that was also a player that the Brewers could have signed. Not the Dodgers Ha-Seong Kim, but the other Ha-Seong Kim. Like, there were options. They went out and got Quintana, who especially early on in the season kind of helped keep them afloat until he got banged up again. And he's been fine. He's been serviceable. He's been what you'd expect from a player signed at that portion of the offseason for that amount of money. Old, cagey veteran. I don't think the Brewers were like massively cheap this offseason. They could have used one more rotational player. But then again, if you feel good about the prospects of Caleb Durbin being a part of this team for the next couple of years, okay, well, then get him in there. You know what I mean? Then I understand it a little bit. I'm still confused. It feels like they have 2 second basemen in their infield between Terang and Durbin. Durbin does not have the arm strength to play third, although he's been okay at it. He doesn't project as your perfect, ideal third baseman, but if you can get the job done and you have great defensive both shortstop and second base, then I guess maybe you can get by. I just love how it always comes back to the Brewers owner, and I'm not here to defend him or be any sort of shill. I just, it's the general manager who's going to make the moves. And we've talked about this on Bill's show, like how well did the Brewers have to play over the next couple of weeks to be buyers, or how badly would they need to fall off to be sellers? I don't think it has anything to do with anything internal, as long as they're holding their own. Who's out there? Who else is involved? How much is this player going to cost? I think that's what it comes down to. The Brewers will probably have a narrow field of the types of players that they're interested in. And I'd probably bet against any move of significance just because it's hard to make moves at the deadline. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. What's up? It's Big Ron in Jersey. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Big Ron. How about you?
Good, man. I just left the grocery store. I picked up, I'm cooking dinner tonight, so I picked up some steak, some shrimp, some asparagus.
Surf and turf? What's the occasion? It's Tuesday, Big Ron.
Well, I work from home on Tuesdays, so I typically am in charge of meal prep. So I want to grill outside, but there's a thunderstorm that's rolling in.
Well, you can make that stuff inside.
The skies are starting to darken up. It hasn't started raining yet, but I might have to cook this on the stove, which is, not as good as the grill.
Mind if a white boy makes a surf and turf dinner on the stove inside? I wouldn't mind, Big Ron. I don't think your family would either.
Well, my wife called me at the grocery store. She's like, you can just grill with the umbrella. I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I'm manly enough to go out there.
This whole situation seems some level of ridiculous. What was your sports take that you've come to present to the show, Big Ron?
So I was listening in the beginning through, I think, Uncle Packer's call, and then I had to jump into a Zoom call and then go to the grocery store. But so I don't know if you touched on this, but when I DM'd you earlier, man, that ESPN guy put out a ridiculous trade for Ronald Acuna from the Braves.
Yep.
We'd have to give up Sal Frelick, Logan Henderson.
Made, Pena, Uribe.
Yes. Yeah, that's just, how dumb do these, East Coast media types,
Well, you tell me. You're one of the you're not a coastal elite, but you live among them out there.
Yeah, I live among them, and yes, they think we're stupid. They think we're flyover country. So, and especially these ESPN guys up in Bristol,
Well,
Eastern Seaboard Sports Network.
Out on the Cape.
Sal Frelick's like a top 10 batting average guy in the NL, and he's a Golden Glover. And Logan Henderson is a potential ace, and Uribe is going to be our closer next year. And then you're going to throw in 2 prospects to boot just for Acuna?
High-level prospects. Well, here's the thing, Big Ron.
Yeah.
If Acuna had 2 perfect knees and a clean bill of health, and I could give up only one of Mate or Pena, I might do it. Look, I like Sal a lot, and it would suck to trade him, but it's a replaceable guy. Uribe is replaceable. Logan Henderson is replaceable enough. They're churning out pitching. But I want to keep one of those infield prospects, and I don't really want Acuna because it feels like either knee is bound to explode at any moment in time. And if I'm making a long-term investment and giving up pieces of my future, I would like to feel a little bit better about his limbs.
Yeah, you know who has a higher or a lower ERA than either Logan Henderson or Toby Myers or any of these guys down in AAA right now? Do you know who the ERA starting pitcher leader is down there?
Nestor Cortez? I don't know.
No, it's that. Well, he might be, but he doesn't have a lot of innings. But for a guy that has a lot of innings, it's that Rodriguez guy that got a cup of coffee earlier in the year.
Oh, yeah.
So hot.
They have a
So,
look.
I
They have
don't
a
know, man.
they have a lot of pitching a triple depth. I'm going to cut you loose, Big Ron, because I got to go. Kurt and JR talked about this on Microbrew on Monday. It's like if you gave the Brewers AAA pitching staff to an organization like Cleveland or Tampa, like an org that actually knew what they were doing developing pitching, like that's an average major league unit. They have a lot of good arms down there and they're deep. I am not opposed to giving up a haul for a really good player. I'd prefer to not give up both Mate and Pena. It's a lot. Can I keep one of those? And then I feel better about Henderson, Uribe, and maybe Sal if you need a major leaguer in return. I don't really know why the Braves would want Sal Frelick. And I like Sal Frelick, but like what's your end goal there? I'd want something else, or I'd want another prospect player to be named later, something like that. Acuna's blown both ACLs. I'm not interested. And it's a bummer because the money's like could actually fit really well for the Brewers. For the next few years, we're in 2025, he's set to make $17 million this year, $17 million next year, and then he's got a club option in 27 and 28 for $17 million. So the Brewers keep that cost control for this year and then 3 more. And then there's, unrestricted free agencies. He turns 31. Perfect. See ya. Or you could trade him away in a couple of years. The problem is the knees. Like, I just need a little bit more certainty. I want a little bit more of a durable player. Sorry. But the contract, like there's pieces there that I really like, but not all the pieces. And I think a lot of these deadline deals, they only need one thing to mess it up, where you need 3 or 4 or 5 things to go well. Just one thing. It's like, yep, okay, we're out. I like the money. I like the player. I can get on board with the return. I can't do the knees. And for that reason, I'm out. It's actually very Shark Tankish. We'll take a 3-minute break. We'll wrap up the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. Wisco Sports Show. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things, because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
One more time, that's Mark DeRosa, MLB Central earlier today. What do you think about that, Brewers fans? How's that make you feel? It's not the first time in this calendar year that a large voice or a large writer or a pundit, let's say, around Major League Baseball has said, hey, Brewers ownership, your team's really good again. You've been on the doorstep. You ever going to try a little bit harder, do a little bit more? We got a couple minutes left now. All of a sudden, the phone's ringing off the hook. So let's get through these calls. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-90.
Eric, good evening.
On I-90. Good evening.
It's been a little bit. What's up?
Yeah, I don't get to listen to you now because my I guess I've been staying at my secret lair, so it's like a 5-minute drive home for me.
I love that.
And so I don't have a lot of radio listening. I guess I could just turn on the radio, but if I'm not in my truck, I'm not listening to the radio. I just not.
Yeah.
So it's just a slow time of year, Grant. We only got a few days to go, and we'll be back in the mix of it. You know, I told Ebo this morning that I'm concerned about Packer Nation. I'm concerned about you particularly, because I feel like you've lost your mojo. I feel like you don't have confidence, Grant, and I want you guys to have it back because it's so much fun.
It's more fun to beat us when we don't have a ton of confidence. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that way, Grant? Do you feel like a little bit of the mojo is missing?
Well, we no longer have a Hall of Fame quarterback at the reins. Like, that makes a big difference in how cocky I can be relative to our division rivals. Yeah, let's start there.
Okay, well, let's try to get it back. Let's try to get back on track, Grant. I mean,
you want me to be cockier?
It's an emotional thing. You can talk yourself into this.
Okay.
You can.
All right.
You can. All right. Well, you have a good day, Grant.
You as well, Eric. I don't know. Packers' schedule is hard, and I have questions. I think they'll be good. I just don't know how good, and this division is really good. One more call, and then we'll wrap up the show. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, how are we doing, sir?
Excellent, Ridge Runner. How about you? What's up?
Not too shabby. I'm going on vacation, so life is good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So the ESPN guy or Major League Baseball guy asking the Brewers owner to spend a little more money.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get upset at them. You changed my mind about being salty and thinking you made a speech after I complained about the national media, blah, blah. And I really think it's just a lack of understanding of what Milwaukee Brewers can and can't do. Because I think they treat every major league team, not exactly, but similar to the Dodgers.
Sure.
Where, they just need to spend the money. Like, not ask the question.
All these owners are billionaires. They're all good for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they just got to, move a couple hedge funds here, sell off a couple of yachts. Yeah, they can spend $300 million on a guy.
Which we know billionaires love doing, by the way. They love selling their yachts and pulling their money out. That's their favorite thing.
100%. They can, they can always make more. So yeah, I guess it's kind of humorous that they say, well, just go do that. Well, you don't really know what a team can and can't do. I mean, they compliment them on one hand and then turn around and say, well, they need to do more. Well, okay, great. That sounds like fun, but here we are, still doing what we're doing and still winning. So,
yeah, we live in the real world. That's the problem, Ridge Runner. And I seriously have to go because the show's almost over. Have a great vacation. Thank you for listening. I do. I remember Cowherd saying that last year. I mean, like, all these owners are billionaires. It's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. Like, don't throw that on me. Owner's definitely not a billionaire. Definitely not in liquidity terms. You kidding me? They'll just sell a yacht, pull some money out. Yeah, because that's what rich people love doing. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Podcast will go up in just a couple minutes.